Hi, my name is Jessica Samantha Chavez Perez, and I'm going to talk about the Cold War. This rivalry happened in the year of 1947 and ended in the year of 1962. A brief description of what it was. It developed after World War II and is between the United States and the Soviet Union and their respective allies, which I will mention like the later on this video. It began after the surrender of the Nazi Germany in 1945, when the uneasy alliance between the United States and Great Britain and the Soviet in the other hand. The Soviet Union began to establish left-wing governments in the countries of Eastern Europe. The Americans and the British were worried that the Soviet domination in Eastern Europe might be permanent. So this solidified in the year of 1947, 1948, when the USA had brought certain Western countries under the American influence and the Soviets had established openly the communist regimes. Some important dates of the Cold War are the Berlin Blockade and Airlift. This happened on June 26, 1948. And this was a turning point after the World War II in Europe. Another date is June 1950. In this year happened the Korean War, and this is where things really got heated between the Soviets and the US nation. Another is the space race. This is where the US and Soviets had an intense competition about space and who could get farther. Soviets started with the lead of Sputnik 1 and they kept competing, and actually this brought them together and they created the International Space Nation. And this happened on October 4, 1957. Another date is April 17, 1961, the Bay of Pigs. This is where the US tried to invade Cuba but failed miserably, and this embarrassed the whole nation. Another date is October 1962. This is where the Cuban Missile Crisis took place. This was the closest the US and the Soviets actually were fighting. And this includes nuclear warfare, and this conflict showed that both superpowers weren't ready to use nuclear weapons against each other. And they signed the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in the 1963, which banned the nuclear weapons testing. Another date is December 1979, and this is where Soviets invaded Afghanistan. The US and the Soviets each backed a different side, and this led to the US boycotting the 1980 Olympics. Another point that I'm going to talk about is what the term Cold War refers to. According to the dictionary, it is a rivalry after World War II between the Soviet Union and the democratic countries of the Western world under the leadership of the United States. Intense economic, political, military, and ideological rivalry between these nations sustained hostile political policies and an atmosphere of strain between opposite countries. This term was first used by the writer George Orwell in an article that he published in the 1945 to refer to what he predicted would be a nuclear statement between 2 or 3 monstrous superstates, each possessed of a weapon by which millions of people can be wiped out in a few seconds. The next topic I'm going to talk about are the economic systems. The first one will be capitalism, and this one was created by Adam Smith. Capitalism is an economic system in which private entities own the factors of production. These are capital goods, natural resources, and labor. A characteristic of capitalism is that ownership means two things. The first is that the owners control the factors of production, and the second one is that they derive their income from their ownership. This gives them the ability to operate their companies efficiently. Capitalism requires a free market economy to succeed, and it distributes goods and services according to the laws of supply and demand. The law of demand says that when the demand increases, the price of a particular product rises. When the competitors realize they can make a higher profit, they increase production, and the greater supply reduces prices to a level where only the best competitors remain. Another component of capitalism is the free operation of capital markets. This means the law of supply and demand set fair prices for stock, bonds, derivatives, currency, and commodities. Capital markets allow companies to raise funds to expand. Companies distribute profits among the owners, and they include investors, stockholders, and private owners. Advantages of this is that the results in the best products for the best prices, because when consumers pay, they know they are paying for something they want the most, so they really pay the price if it is necessary. And economic growth. Disadvantages may seem in a long term the inequality, and this limits diversity. The second economic system is socialism. Socialism was created by Marx, and this is an economic system in which everyone in the society equally owns the factor of production. Same as the last one, capital goods, natural resources, and labor. Socialists take into account both individual needs and greater social needs. They allocate resources using central planning as in a command economy. The mantra of socialism is from each according to his ability. So everyone is, according to their ability, working on something they like. So socialism also socialism prevents that workers are no longer exploited and they work in something they really like, and due to this they create a better thing. Okay, socialism takes care of natural resources and they are preserved for the good of the whole. However, some disadvantages of socialism is that they do not reward the competitive ones, and it's a society that ignores people that tend to seek ways to overthrow and disrupt society for their own gain. They only reward the cooperative people. As a result of socialism, doesn't reward people for being entrepreneurial, and it is struggled to be as innovative as a capitalistic society. A third disadvantage is that the government has a lot of power. This works as long as it represents the wishes of people, but government leaders can abuse of the position of claim power for from themselves. Okay, so like the differences are that factors of production in socialism are equally for everyone, and in capitalism factors of production are individual. Factors of production are valued based on the usefulness for people in socialism, and in capitalism are based on the profit that they give. Allocations are decided by the central plan in socialism, and in capitalism they are decided by the demand of the supply. And well, I believe that they are both really different and they have advantages and disadvantages. In the next clip, it is a interview to my brother, asking him what does he knows about the Cold War. And well, his name is Irvin Omar Chavez Perez, and he's 24 years old.
Well, the Cold War was a race between United States and Russia to see which one was the best country in the world, in technology and in space matters.
Well, next we are going to talk about some questions. And the first one is, why did the countries who were allies during the wars became enemies afterwards? It is because in the end of the three intentions of the countries, these ones did not collide and weren't the same, so they continue fighting over that. The second one is, where did the Cold War took place? The Cold War took place in Vietnam. The third one is, what opinion did the general people have of the Cold War? Well, it's a confrontation between two great powers with two total different systems, and it happened before the Second World War. Some people say that it was necessary in order to know which power had the best services and the best technological advances, some stuff like that. And other countries said that it was unnecessary, that it was just a thing to show power, which is not necessary to become a great country. The fourth one says, what type of weapons did the two worlds' power had in the disposal? Well, they had the FNL AL, the AK-47, the F-4 Phantom, the Chieftain, the US George Washington, and some weapons under power. And that's all about these questions. However, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you get some information about the Cold War. I think and I believe it is a really interesting topic, and in my opinion this war was necessary because from my perspective it is important to know who has the greatest services and who has the greatest government. The idea of having different governments and implementing them in real life, it is a really necessary thing in order to become a greater society, and in knowing which ways will lead you to meet your goals. And I think it's all. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.